welcome to another episode of the Artist Who Left podcast. My name is Lilly.V. I'm your host. I'm an international artist from Cuba, based in Bangkok, Thailand, and this is my podcast, your podcast, where we discuss a lot of information for independent artists, musicians, singers in general, and people who wants to go out there and be better and learn, or for the people who are starting in this career, in this business as an independent artist, or just as an artist and don't know where to go to start, or don't know where to start. Like I always say in my previous podcast, the information I'm sharing here is information that I have to learn through my years of experiences, and I wish that when I started I had that information with me. But if it's not there, if you haven't found it, I'm glad to tell you that you just found it, and I hope you guys stay here. So if you are a new subscriber, if you're a new person who just come here, welcome. We are on episode number 6. This is the episode number 6. If you haven't watched, if you just started watching me or watching this podcast, just check the other episodes, as you can find information there. It's been very interesting. I've been having a lot of fun doing this and recording. It has given me a lot of reassurance and a lot of going back to the basics and keep learning and changing the things that needs to be changed, and unlearning old habits that been holding me from my full potential. From my full potential. But if you also somebody who just been coming here on the regular basis, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. And oh my god, I think today's episode is something that I've been wanted to talk about it, like Instagram reels and stuff like that, as like a short content type of thing. But I think that I'm glad that, without planning, the evolution of each episodes that I've been releasing has put me till this point where I can finally talk about these things, which are so important for artists, and not only for artists. And I'm glad that I just remember this. I have one of my my mother-in-law. She gave me such a beautiful compliment yesterday, and she was telling me that she was watching the podcast. She have nothing to do with music, and she's not a singer or anything, but my husband is a drummer. Her other son, my brother-in-law, is also a musician, blah blah. But what she was saying is that the information here is really interesting, because it can apply for any type of roles that you do in life. For either you're a nurse, either you are a doctor, so I feel so good for that, because I'm definitely younger, and I don't have a lot of experience when it comes out to life. I'm on my 30s now, but when it comes down to these things and the things that you learn, and the things that the challenges that you go through life, you kind of learn, and that's why we're here today. And I hope that you guys keep coming back, and you guys keep saying and keep sharing, and keep sharing this with people that you think that might benefit. And if this benefits you, maybe you have a cousin, you have a friend who's doubting about starting a music career. And I'm not here to tell you that things is easy and you can do it you can do it, but it's not easy. But it's not impossible either. And I think that with this information I'm sharing with you, you will definitely get that motivation and that thing that you need to give the first step. So let's go straight to business. So as I mentioned at the beginning, and as you know, I've been living in Bangkok for around 5 years, meaning that I moved here. I can call it like I just moved here. Before that, I was traveling with a company, and we used to have contracts on 5-star hotels all over Southeast Asia and the Middle East. Pretty much our life was in a suitcase. Every 6 months, 6 months maximum, 3 months minimum, we will go to a different country. It sounds exciting. It sounds really fun. Especially, I mean, I was like on my 20, on my when I started doing that, I was 24. I just moved out of Cuba, fresh. If you want to know all the journey of how did I left Cuba and how all that happened, I have videos on my podcast as well, like in the previous season where you can see the whole process and how everything happened. Um, but you know, when COVID happened, I was still working with them, and there was a moment where the CEO of the company said like, well, we are sending everybody home. Like what you want to do? You want to go home? Just because they need to collect the information so they can book the flights and all that stuff. Like, I mean, I'm from Cuba. I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on in there, but going back to Cuba, it was not an option for me at that moment, especially because I'm out here, and living my dream, but also supporting my family financially. It's like the price of the sacrifice that we have to do. Like sometimes our family and friends do not understand those things, and this is something that we will develop in the podcast because it's very related to. Anyways, I'm telling you all these stories because um when they say, okay, we're sending everybody home, I was like, okay, well, how about I go to Thailand? When I came to Thailand, it was in 2017, and I was working with this company, meaning that I stayed here for like 6 months, and I literally fall in love with the country. And my boyfriend was here, my now husband, it was here, and we were kind of like starting the relationship. We were not like official, not like we were not official. We were just like trying to figure out things out while we were like in long distance relationship. And he was here, and I was like, okay, look, you know what? I'm just gonna go to Thailand, and thinking that this COVID thing will be like 3 months or like 1 month or something, and by the first month I will, after 1 month we will be out in the world doing the same thing that we were doing. Anyway, so we moved here, and what happened? Everybody knows it was the big lockdown, and we have to stay here. And obviously, staying here required us to manage the way of living, and trying to figure it out what we're gonna do with our lives. We are entertainers. Me and my husband, we are entertainers, and obviously, if there's a lockdown, it was like the whole world is in shot. Wow, well, we need to like reinvent like everybody did, reinvent ourselves. We pretty much went broke during that time. But I think something that I always say this, like when that happened, I didn't realize how much of a damage of my vocals were. And not everything was like negative. I recovered my vocals, and I was able to record a lot of music, and spend time with my now husband, and create that foundation. But anyways, today episode we are talking about those things. We're talking more about how to start from scratch in a new country as an artist, as an independent artist. But I think that, like, if you're not, and you're listening or you're watching this podcast, probably some of these tips can definitely help you. So one of the first challenges, like, or let's call it like challenge number one, is that cultural shock. Like in my case, I can say that I kind of didn't really have that cultural shock in the beginning because I was already being here. But being here as a tourist, or being here working and under different conditions, they both have different things, and you can have a huge cultural shock. In the beginning, um, after everything open up, and bars start opening and hotels start opening, and we like start researching, like how can we get back on stage again. you know, we needed to know what was the music genre that was popular, and we needed to know, because we were coming from a different environment of beat clubs. And like, for example, in Southeast Asia, if you go to, like, for example, if you go to Indonesia, or if you go to Singapore, or a little bit of Malaysia, you will realize that most of the people there love like rock and roll. So you ended up singing a lot of, like, Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Metallica, Linkin Park, all this type of music. Of course, you will sing the normal top 40s and stuff, but we come here, and something that it can be like a culture shock is coming here with that mindset of like, oh, this is what I do, and this is what I'm gonna do right now. And unfortunately, it don't always happen like that. You need to work that out, and you need to do the research. And that's something that I quite did in the beginning. And in the episode, one of the first episodes, when I talk about how to negotiate your price, um uh, when it comes down to the genre and all that stuff, it's similar, the type of work where you have to go out there and, like, okay, let me see what's happening in the city. Let me see what's the music that the locals are playing. Let me see what's the music. Let me see what the audience react the most to, and what the bars or the hotels want. So you need to find that balance of what you do, what you want to do, and what you really need to do in order to end up doing what you really want to do. It's like a step by step. It's not like if you do something you cannot do it because the cultural shock thing, or because that's not happening. It means that you can work your way out to that point. And that's just something that is beautiful, because also in one of the previous episodes I talk about versatility, and you knowing how to do something and learning how to do another style of music, another genre of music. It can only benefit you to be versatile and have more options when it comes down to your work and your gigs, and get hired for weddings, corporates, whatever is your desire. Also in that direction, you might think like, well, maybe in the live scene, because okay, in that specific moment where I was, most of the international artists were like, they went to their countries, and they have to leave their contracts behind, because nobody knew what was happening. So we were kind of lucky that we were like some of the few international entertainers here. So I think that was a good thing, but also challenging, because I mean, you go out there and you're like, oh my god, how do I communicate, like the language barrier. That's something that it can affect the negotiation. It can affect the understanding, and that's something that sometimes it shocks me, that some people don't really have the patience where they come to different countries when they don't speak your native language, and they use that as some, you know I don't think that they use it like they are mean for doing that, like not having the patience. So if you are in a new country and you feel frustrated because nobody understands you, the first thing you need to do is like understand them. You are in their country, and yes, that might shock you that you cannot be understood, but trust me, they feel the same way. And at the end of the day, you are in their space. So you need to control that. Maybe that you need to control that behavior of treating people poorly, and not being patient. You can get far if you're nice, and if you're kind. Now, moving on, and it has something to do with the previous point. um another challenge that get when you start from scratch in a new country is building networking. uh it's not a secret that when there is a local community of artists, singers, and musicians, when you introduce yourself into that environment, for sure people will feel, I mean, I don't want to be general, but for sure there will be moments where people might feel jealous or might feel like you're trying to take away their jobs. And in that moment where we were, of course, everybody was like, because there hasn't been work for 2 years, and they're coming like in Thailand they call us phalangs, like foreigners. It's like, how come, we all been without a job. This is my country. Why are you taking the job from me? You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that, I mean, I thank God I didn't have to go through that or have bad experience with that. I had a great experience with locals, artists and local singers, local musicians, and currently I play with um, um, local musicians which are incredible, talented. But that can be a huge challenge because, again, referring to some of my previous podcasts, you have to shake your ego off. If you come out trying to get gigs or trying to, play in bars and hotels where there are locals, you have to shake your ego off and go there and try to understand how that works. You know what I mean? And try to, without saying, "Hey, I'm not here to take anything from you," go there and, you know work with them, and work together, and everybody can benefit, and you create your networking doing that. And again, when it comes down to what you do, is it's not like you need to lower your self-esteem or you need to lower your quality as a singer. But when you're secure enough to know of what you're bringing to the table, not only in a new country but in general as a person, if you're sure about who you are, none of this thing can worry you. And of course, this part of the challenge. But I think that, if you are nice with everybody, and you know where you stand, then you will have no problem creating your circle, creating your networking, and getting the calls. Because at the end of the day, you need to work with them. So let's say you're in a new country, but you need a band. You obviously cannot call like agents used to do before COVID. I mean, in that moment, I'm talking about a specific moment. You probably can, but like there's certain times where like you have no options by working with the people that is around you. And like you need to find these people, the people that you feel comfortable with, the people that you think it match your idea, you think it match your purpose and the things that you want to do. And you have to go there and do your research. I remember in the beginning I worked with so many different musicians, and um it took me a couple of months to settle like with a group of musicians that were like, okay, this is it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, when you're in the freelance world, um, unless you're established artist and you're signed by someone, you will always work with the same people, but that's not always the case. So you still need, even if you find the people that you like, you still need to keep finding people that you feel comfortable with and keep, relating with them. And eventually you create a network, you create a community with everybody can benefit from you. Because if you are the one getting the call for a wedding or a corporate event, you still need the musician. So okay, I know I can call this person. But if you're like, if you're not a good person, or you are arrogant, or you act like you're the best thing ever, nobody's will want to work with you. And there's other episodes that I talk about these things as well. No, nobody likes to work with assholes. So again, while creating your networking, check your ego off, and you will be okay. And eventually people will like ask you to play with them. Instead of you asking them, the people will, you will start getting the call. And I can definitely talk from my own experience, because I've been blessed to be in this country and get calls from a lot of locals, a lot of musicians, singers, and the people around me that I see that as an act of respect, for not only for me but for my work as well. If I, sometimes we think that if we don't get the call, we are not worth it. But if we get the call, some people take that as like I'm the best thing. You know what I mean? Or in the other, like the brain can work in different forms, but when you are new in a new country, the best thing is to be nice and create a nice community and create a good vibe for everybody, where everybody can experience you the way you are and not just the way that um, people think you might be, because you're the new person in the circle. Something that I think a lot of people do not talk about it. And one of the challenges, because like, the first part is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be nice for everybody and then I can get the job. But you need for sure to have the legal forms to get work. There is a lot of people, and I don't want to get too deep into this, because this is a very uh how do you call it, this is a very sensitive point. And when it comes down to working, having the legal ways to work, Thailand has been a country where a lot of people might take advantage of their of the culture, of the law, of the whatever you call it. I don't want to, this is a very sensitive topic and I don't want to get too deep, but I just want to tell you, like, do not work illegally. Yes. Damn it. Do not work illegally, because that will not only affect you, but it will affect your fellows, colleagues, and it will affect the system. And and understanding the legal forms to work in a new country will save you a lot of trouble. And something that can appear as very expensive in the beginning will be the cheapest thing you can do to be able to live comfortably and to not need to worry about what if tomorrow I show up in my gig and immigration come to get me. And like, I have to say that many of us kind of fear that in some point of our career, like, luckily me and my husband, we are able to be here legally, and working and doing the things that we love, when it comes down to performance and entertainment and all that stuff. There's ways to do it, and it's possible to do it. You just have to find the right people and get the right advices. I wouldn't, a lot of people message me and ask me about this topic, and ask me like, how can I get the gigs, or how can I get this show? And the first thing I ask them, like, if you don't have a work permit, if you don't have a legal way to do it, I'm not gonna tell you do it, because why would you listen to me telling you to do something that is illegal, even though a lot of people have done it and nothing happened, but you can be the first. You know what I mean? So, yes, understand local law first. You know what I mean? And if this is something that I always tell people, like artists and musicians that want to live here, if your goal is to be here long term and be living comfortable by your earns in music, and if you don't have a plan, you need to have a plan. if you don't have money to at least live for 6 months minimum, meaning that your plan is to create your legal ways to work, but it might happen that in the first month in the first 2 months you might not get as much work as you think you could, and obviously if you don't get that, you won't earn enough to pay your bills and get your rents and blah blah blah, all that stuff. So you need to be prepared financially, um, to survive for at least your first 6 months until everything's settled and everything start falling into place. Adapting and getting new in a new country, it doesn't really happen overnight, and the previous stuff and the stress and all that stuff can definitely, stop you from um getting there. So, understand the law, don't work illegal, and be prepared as if you know for sure that your first 6 months you won't make one dime. Just be prepared for that. If the thing is different, I'm not saying like you prepare your mind for failure. I just say you prepare your mind for success, and the sense of, if you don't, ooh, wait a minute, you don't prepare your mind for failure, you prepare your mind for success. So your expectations do not get in the middle of your results. Woo, my god, this is one of the highlights for the video, I have to say. Yes, that just came out of my brain right now, and I actually need to take notes of that. But I've been watching a lot of like um uh self-improvement videos, and a lot of reading books and stuff about how to be a better person in general, and how to grow, and how to stop procrastinating and stuff. But okay, in another moment we're gonna talk about this. But yeah, just be prepared and understand how the laws work, and do not listen to anybody that say you can do it, no, nothing ever happened. No, that person do not care for you, and when you're really in trouble, that same person who say that nothing's gonna happen will help you. So yeah, do not listen to these people. So moving to the next point: struggles of financial challenge, and very relate to the place before. You have to lower your expectation, because, like, for example, when I was working with this company, I didn't have responsibilities when it comes down to paying bills. And, we used to live in a hotel, we eat the food from the hotel, and our money was like regularly coming straight up, excuse me, was coming straight up to our bank account. And if you were good like me, in the sense of like saving the money, and you don't touch it for unnecessary stuff, you will save your money and you can do whatever you want, or buy you stuff. I don't know how you use your money, but like, I'm not telling you like don't do this, don't do that, but like, you don't have really responsibility. But when you are new in a country, and when you're independent as a person, as a musician, as an artist, then the bills come. And one of the episodes when I talk about how to negotiate your money, you need to have a clear plan of what are your goals, when it comes down to that financial stuff. You know what I mean? And make a list of like, what do you need against of what can I do. So have a list. Okay, my rent is this, my bills are this, blah 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 blah. So you need to make, and you need to have like a approximate clear number of what are your expenses, and know that when you're a freelance musician and a singer, your salary monthly is not is not stable, in the sense of like, you will never get the same amount every month. You either can get a lot, or you can either get less. So you need to have a good money management and understand how everything works. Like, if you like to order a lot of food because you're lazy to cook, maybe it's time for you to start watching Instagram recipes and, save money when it comes down, save money from your food and cook and buy your groceries. Like, luckily in Thailand, groceries are very cheap and you have access. I was talking with my parents, like, the good part about being here is that there are groceries and there are markets accessible for all type of lifestyle. If you're like gourmet, or you are like regular people, for the locals. I particularly love to go to locals markets. You can get still fresh stuff and stuff like that. But I think that not having those things clear can really affect you. And then when it comes the end of the month and you need to start paying your bills, you like, but just know that is possible, and you need to have your mind prepared for that. And that's some of the biggest challenges that, like, for example, me and my husband faced during COVID, because we went broke. And there was a moment of, I need to look for that photo and I will tell people about it. There's a moment where my bank account say you have $0, like zero, like nada, nothing. And we were like, oh my God, how are we gonna get? And we believe in God and we praise the Lord and we prayed a lot. And I have to tell you that, whatever work we were able to do and whatever money that we were able to earn, that was only by God grace. Because it can be very, very easy to get blocked and get locked into, like, I can, I will lose my house. I will lose, I don't have nothing to eat. And yeah, that, I'm not saying that that's gonna be the future. That's like the regular thing, you know what I mean? But having a clear finance plan can really save you from for that. And have saving plans. I think I'm very good with saving money and stuff. I still need to learn a lot when it comes down to, like, investments and stuff. But being good when it comes down to saving, it really saved us during COVID, because we were able to manage that little bit that we had. And thank God we would never have to get kicked out of the little studio apartment that we were living in. And we will always have at least rice or bread to eat. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not gonna tell you that we have a very beautiful plate of food every day in our hands, but we survived. We definitely did. Moving to the next point, and everything that I just said when it comes down to money and it comes down to stress and ego challenges and all the things that you have to go through is, and something that I feel like people and artists in general do not talk about these things, because they might feel judged and they might feel ashamed of not being enough. And it comes down to your mental health. And yes, that's another challenge that I will, like, another challenge that artists, musicians, and people in general go through when they start in a new country. When you come to a new country, there's a lot of feelings involved, good and bad feelings. You know what I mean? From one side, you have the excitement or starting new, and probably you watch thousands of videos of how people been living, and you can relate yourself, and you look at yourself motivated and say, like, oh my God, I can do this. But then you have from the other side that doubt of, like, when I left my country for the first time, 24 years old that I was, everybody thought I was crazy. But this thing is like, when you're that young or whatever age you are, you need to move on a new place from scratch. A lot of people will have a lot of things to say about it. And as much as you're a person of a go get it, no matter what, there's a little space there in your head and your brain that those thoughts is gonna stay there. And eventually, when you're in your lowest time, it will come out and will destroy the out of you. Uh, so it's so important to work on your well-being and your mental health. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way. And I've been dealing with, I'm not saying that everything is beautiful and I get it here. But I think I was lucky enough to have somebody next to me with just like mentally strong and was motivating me, in every step and when I was feeling low and when I was feeling stress or anything. But there's people that comes alone and there's people that have nobody to be around. And the responsibilities that you take, it becomes a little bigger, and then you start um crashing and you start not being productive, and you start questioning your own worth and your own talents, and you start um driving yourself crazy pretty much. um so that is something that we all have to go through as an artist, but also as like human beings. And we need to watch out for that a lot, and creating routines that can help you to ease your mind. And at this new 2025, I think I was talking with somebody, and every year I found like a word that's gonna describe the year. So for example, last year I say that last year will be the year of abundance, and everything that I wanted to have, like possibly I pray for that abundance. And I'm not saying like I'm not praying for abundance now, I still do. But I was talking with like a very well-known musician, and I was like, you know what, the next year, because that we met in December, is like the next year will be revolutionary. Like the name of the year will be a revolution. And I can, we are already in March, and I can feel that revolution inside of me. I can see that revolution around me, and I can see how, slowly, step by step, my life is been changing, and the positive. And it's because I sit down and say, I'm done with this insanity. I need to get my shit together. Pretty much, I need to get my shit together. And, last year I went to therapy, and I, have thoughts. And like sometimes when I'm the type of person that I'm always for everybody else, but I'm not there for myself. And this is something that I'm slowly start understanding, and I slowly start realizing that you can do hard things on your own pace, not on the pace that an influencer or your best friend tell you to do it, because it doesn't really work the same way for everybody. And a lot of people, and I've realized this, and um, mental health and well-being have a lot to do with your resting. And I can see how much people over uh what's the right word for that, I think people praised too much that non-sleeping type of thing. And I was watching this vlog today, and this guy was talking about, like, for example, when you go to an exam, the first thing that everybody, before you get to the exam, everybody is like talking, oh my God, I didn't study enough and I really only sleep for 3 hours. And he just say that, for example, these things are only creating excuses in case that you fail. And then if you didn't fail, then you use that as like, oh my God, I'm the best. If I did that in 3 hours, I bet I can do it in two. That means that when you're an artist, when you're a singer, that you work at night, you need to take care of your body. You need to rest. People underrate resting too much. And then they go to the gigs and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't really rest or sleep for 3 days. And I'm like, that's horrible. That's not beautiful. That doesn't make you a great singer. That makes you stupid. Because if you don't take care of your instrument or your voice, like, what are you doing? You're wasting your life on something that for what reason? You're not gonna get more paid for telling everybody that instead of sleeping for 7 to 8 hours, you only sleep for 3. You only hurting yourself. You're not hurting anybody else. So stop overpraising the no resting thing for artists and singers. And I've been trying to stay away from that energy, because I'm a person who absorb energies, like so quick. And if I'm talking with somebody who's tired or being sick or whatever, I next day automatically start feeling like that. And that slow my process. So I have to like create a filter in between that. And the first filter I create, I'm like, if you're tired, please, sometimes you get to the gig and the musicians and the singers will look at you like, I'm so sleepy. And then you automatically start getting sleepy. Stop telling me that you're sleepy. If you're sleepy, if you're tired, that's your fault. I know we all grinding. I know we all need the money, but you need to fucking rest. If I'm tired, if I'm sick, if I'm sleepy, I try my best. I try my best to get that rest in time, because I don't want to go out there and do a bad job or sing a wrong note just because I didn't have the courage to take time for myself. So I'm putting myself first here, and I hope you all do this too, because it's not a good thing just going around there and saying like, I'm so tired and my voice is bad because I'm so tired. You know what I mean? Like, and if you sick, don't sick, don't sing sick. Take that time to rest. Find somebody to replace you. It's possible. That's why you need a good networking of people around you, like singers that they like, hey, look, I'm sick. And don't use that replacement stuff just for in vain. You know what I mean? So you need to take care so much of your health. You need to take care of your mental health, create routines, find that time for yourself where you can work out, read books, do the things that you want to do. Not everything needs to be work, 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 work. I was like that, and I'm working out of that old Lilly ways, because it was not benefiting me in any ways. And I can tell you that. And I'm working out. Did I lose the weight that I want to lose? Of course not. It's so short time to judge for it. But did I create a routine? Yes. Am I a morning person? Yes. I can believe that. You know what I mean? I can believe I'm working out and I'm having a nap a day. Yes, I have naps. When I used to go out there and say like, I hate naps, I cannot have a nap, because I would know I want the nap, I need the nap. So in the middle of the day when I'm feeling the most tired, I can take that reset and do it again, so I can go to my gig, do the best I can, and I don't need to tell anybody that I'm so tired, and I don't find excuses to do a bad job just because I didn't have the courage to stand for myself and took the rest that I needed to take. So I don't it feels like this topic and this specific challenge, it becomes like a self-reflector or like a self-motivation video that you watch on YouTube, like TED Talk. But I think it's necessary because nobody talk about mental health and the music industry. And we only hear artists having overdoses or committing suicide, or doing all this thing, and you're just like, oh my God, but he looks so happy. Oh my God, but how come she looks so healthy? You know what I mean? You never know what's going on in people's brains, people's minds. And this industry can be super cruel. And you meet a lot of good people, but you also meet a lot of evil people that, they only, like, one thing is you care for yourself, but if you care for yourself too much that you don't care to hurt others, you will encounter a lot of people like that. And you need to have your brain prepared for that, and you need to be ready to face these type of challenges, and know when know when it's the time to move out of certain type of situations. You know what I mean? Especially if affecting your peace, if affecting your health. So I think that we get it to the end of this episode, and I hope that everything that I share with you guys today is being helpful, and you guys can relate with this. And I would love to know your thoughts. I feel that the overcoming things. So I feel that I really hope that today's episode's been really helpful for you guys. Like I said in the beginning, anything that you start in your life is not easy in the beginning. You are not always ready. I'm sure that there's a lot of these points that you're like, oh my God, but you can do one thing at a time. Remember, like when you do a podcast, when you like sit down here in a video and talk with people, and you put together all the things, you have to look at as steps, and you have to look, like especially me, that I give you like different step and different like points of view. And sometimes you think that you need to get done everything, or if you don't have all of those things done, you are not successful, or you're not gonna get what you need. But remember, like, these steps, this challenge are like just a simplification of my journey. That can be your journey, but with different stages, different points, different things. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you decide to start living abroad, and going to start a new life in a new country, as an artist, as a singer, as a person, as a doctor, as a whatever, I'm just here to tell you that you can do it. And right now I'm here to give you this information, but there's also a lot of information and social media. There's a lot of information in YouTube, and there's a lot of research that you can do. You are not always gonna be 100% ready to do it, but do it. Me and my husband, I think our mantra this year, besides like calling the year revolutionary, our mantra is do it scared. And that's something that yesterday I was in an audition for they opening a new hotel here, so I was in the audition, and it was a very particular audition, because usually you go, you play your songs, blah 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 blah, and then you just move on, and then they call you, they say they would like you to have you or not. But yesterday the audition was like, okay, you sing two songs, and the person who we were judging, they will request a song. Everybody loses. Everybody was like, oh my God, start requesting the song. And they start, they request a few songs. I didn't know them, and they finally requested a song that I knew, and I did it. And when I finished my audition, I was walking, and I was like a self-talk, and I just like, the best thing about don't knowing a song request is that you can learn it. So the same message, the best thing about don't knowing how to do something is doing the research to know how to do it. And that will give you so much comfort, and that will give you so much like power, and you can turn that into your progress, and the resilience to how do I say it? Do it scared. Do it. If you don't know how to do something, You can do the research and do it. You're never gonna be 100% ready to do. You know how much time I procrastinate being sit down here, putting that camera at that light and sitting down here and talking about these things. I cannot tell you how long did I wait, you know what I mean? You probably can see it the previous YouTube videos, like the previous session where I started and then I leave it there. And, you know, I didn't realize that people were connecting, and I kind of like let people lose interest onto that because I lost track, and I lost my confidence, and I lost my I lost the power to continue something. You know, if you do something, even if you don't know how to do it 100% in the beginning, at least finish it and do it scared. You have to do it, and you have to create your routines and sit down and find the things that work for you. You know, the things that work for me not always gonna work for you, but having an idea and having a point of starting can help you find your own ways. And that's what I'm doing, and that's what I've been doing for the last couple of months, and I feel so good about it. And there's a lot of work that I still need to do, but I don't want to think about all the work that I have to do. I want to think about everything that I've done. And I was talking yesterday with also my mother-in-law, and we were like, she's so inspiring, and she's like such an amazing woman, a spiritual woman, and we're constantly sharing information and authors and book titles and stuff like that, and I love it so much. And I was sharing with her something that I saw on social media and Facebook the other day. You know, like sometimes we don't see our progress because we keep raising the bar. Set small goals, achieve them at your own pace, and celebrate those little milestones. If your goal is to move to a new country and a new city, do everything that you need to do, and don't be, I mean, I'm not gonna tell you that don't be scared, because that's a feeling that's gonna be there, but do it scared, do it no matter what. So making a little resume for this episode of what challenges artists, musicians, and people in general go through when they move to a new country from scratch. Let's go to number one. Building the networking. We also have navigating the local industry and looking for understand the local laws. We also talk about financial challenges that we faced. And last but not least, and very, very important, your mental health and well-being. So thank you so much one more time for being here with me in this episode. I hope that this help you to see a different version of challenge, and help you see a different ways of how to go about your goals and your desires to move in, and taking the next step that your heart desires so much, but you're scared. Do it scared. That's the mantra for the year. And I hope to see you guys back here in another episode. Don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube channel. I'm actually creating a independent channel for this podcast right now. I've been uploading on my musical channel, but I really want to move all these episodes and to the the own channel of the Artist Who Left podcast channel. So yeah, I will let you know when that happens, but so far please subscribe here and follow my journey on my social media like Instagram. You can also listen to all this all the episodes and all the podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere. And if you want to know a little bit more about my daily life, you can follow me on Instagram, where I share a lot of my daily basics, my shows, some of these clips, of course, and some other tips for artists and musicians and people in general. One more time, thank you so much, and I hope I can see you in the next episode. Mwah.